What is your Timmy's here? Here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films celebrating the 10th anniversary. Holy cow, I feel old for this one. We of course got John Wick. The very first John Wick movie. Now, I still remember when I first saw this movie, like, I wasn't really all that excited for it, to be honest, because, I mean, the trailers looked okay, but Keanu Reeves' movies beforehand, like, before this movie, he did that voice at Ronin. He did some other like that Man Chai Chi film. He's done some terrible films beforehand, so I really wasn't all that interested in seeing this. But then the trailer looked pretty cool. I'm like, okay, maybe this could be a good. I literally thought this could easily have been, let's say, a Steven Seagal like film where it just like came to your home video and that's it. But then I saw it and it was excellent. Of course, became a really popular franchise. Really, I guess say the movie that really put Keanu Reeves done stuff beforehand, but I guess you could say it was really like his comeback film, and he was excellent in this. I mean, it shows that don't mess with another man's dog, or else, yeah, never mess with anybody's dogs here. Of course, you had Adrian Palicki was in this, Ian McShane, William Dafoe, Lance Reddick. I mean, lots of really great cast members in this. I mean, what not to love about John Wick? All right, also turning 10, we got Ouija. Now, of course, this is based on the very popular Ouija boards. This was produced by Jason Blum and starred the likes of Olivia Cook, Bianca A. Santos. You had some really good cast members in this, and it actually had a really cool premise, but yeah, this was not so good at all. I mean, there was lots of cool stuff to look forward to with this. You had like the Ouija stuff here, but yeah, the movie just is so absolutely terrible. It wasn't all that scary. Although Mike Flanagan came around and gave us the sequel, and that movie was much better than had any intentions of being. But yeah, Ouija, just skip this one and just watch the Mike Flanagan one because he did a much better job with that Ouija. All right. Also turning 10 is a film not many people probably heard of, but it's a movie called Saint Vincent. Now, this stars Bill Murray. You also had Melissa McCarthy, Jaden Martell. This was pretty much like Jaden Martell's breakthrough role. He will, of course, go on to appear in the It movies. He's also in that upcoming Y2K film. You also had Naomi Watts, Terrence Howard in this. You had some really disappointing players. If you guys don't know much about the story, it's about a young boy whose parents have just divorced, finds an unlikely friendship and mentor with this war veteran who lives next door. And Saint Vincent was a pretty nice little film. Of course, it was directed by I think I forgot Theo Maffei, I think his name is. He will go on to direct the movie Hidden Figures. He's done some other cool stuff. Saint Vincent was really a decent, charming film. The chemistry between Bill Murray and Jaden Martell is pretty good. Naomi Watts as like a dancer in this, she was excellent. It has some really cool supporting players, and it's a really decent film worth checking out. Very underrated too. Like not many people really heard of Saint Vincent, but it's a really nice little film if you guys never seen that. All right, films celebrate their 20th anniversary. For all you Pixar fans, and of course I'm one of them, we of course got The Incredibles. Holy cow, I cannot believe The Incredibles is literally 20 years old. I mean, of course, this is pretty much the best, it's considered to be the best Fantastic Four film of all time. Of some really cool cast of characters. Who does not love Frozone, right? Where is my super suit? It'll be cool to actually see Frozone's wife one of these days. Of course, they will go on to do a sequel about years later with Incredibles 2. There's also another one coming out. I mean, The Incredibles is obviously one of the best Pixar movies out there. It's definitely up there with the likes of Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc. It's a terrific one. Really, cool superhero film worth checking out. I adore this one a lot. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen Incredibles by now, definitely give that one a go. All right. Well, now, also turning 20, we got The Grudge. Now, this is, of course, a remake of a Japanese horror film. And The Grudge will also they'll also do, like, other Grudge movies. Like, there's obviously The Grudge 2. Then there was most recent, that terrible one from 2020, which I think was just titled Grudge, which that was horrible. This one, of course, had the likes of Sarah Michelle Gellar, And in it, it's told through non-linear sequences of events and includes several expecting subplots here. And it's a really creepy one. I mean, the original Japanese one's pretty good too, but the remake I really quite enjoy. I mean, there's one of the most creepiest moments is a shower scene where Sarah Michelle Gellar is pretty much cleaning her hair, and you see like a creepy child like in the back of her head. It is insane and creepy if you guys haven't seen it. All right, also turning 20, we got the terrible Christmas movie Surviving Christmas. Now, this of course stars the likes of Ben Affleck, James Gandolfini, Christina Applegate, and is where wealthy executive Drew Laffan, played by Affleck, has no close relationship and becomes nostalgic for his childhood home at Christmas approaches. Now, I love a good Christmas film, but if I had to give a list of my top worst Christmas movies of all time, this would definitely be one of them. I mean, it's so weird seeing James Gandolfini in like a lighthearted Christmas film like this. I mean, obviously you always know him as Tony Soprano, so every time it's always so interesting, to really see to see Gandolfini in like these lighthearted family oriented film, and this is definitely not one of them. It just wasn't. I never found this one to be funny. It was just completely terrible. Definitely not one of Ben Affleck's best efforts too. All right, also turning 20 is The Machinist. Now, this movie of course starred Christian Bale and became very popular because Christian Bale lost a whole lot of weight for this film. He real like when you think of Christian Bale, he always messes up his body badly, and The Machinist was one of them. If you guys don't know much about the story, it stars Christian Bale as a machinist struggling with paranoia and delusion after being unable to sleep for an entire year. You also had the likes of Jennifer Jason Leigh, Michael Ironside, and it's a really cool little film. Really a really cool sci-fi psychological worth checking out. Christian Bale, like this was actually before Batman Begins came out. Like this was before like a year before. I believe he actually got cast as Batman at the time, but this was like a year before we even saw him as Batman. And seeing him actually go from like a scrawny, skinny guy in this to a big buff as Bruce Wayne in Batman Begin a year after is insane to believe. But yeah, when he really wants to mess up his body, he knows how to do it. Like obviously, he also played Dick Cheney. Like he really put on some weight for that one. I mean, I always feel so sorry for this poor guy, and he always messes up his body for our amusement. All right, also turning 20, we got the film we of course got the movie Sideways, directed by Alexander Payne, who of course recently gave us the Holdovers last year. And this is based on a novel and starred Paul Giamatti and Thomas Haden Church. You also had like Sandra Oh, Virginia Madsen was in this. It's about it follows two men in their 40s, Miles Raymond and a depressed teacher and unsuccessful writer Jack Ho, um played by who's pretty much an actor as Prime played by Thomas Haden Church. Who pretty much takes a week long road trip to Santa Barbara wine country to celebrate Jack's upcoming wedding. And this movie is terrific. The chemistry between Paul Giamatti and Thomas Haden Church. Like if you ever want to see a movie where the Rhino goes on a drink with the Sandman, this is definitely one for you. Of course, Project again for the Holdovers just last year. He's excellent at that. He probably could have won his Oscar for this too. But yeah, the I believe he did got nominated though, if I'm not mistaken. But let me see. Yeah, actually did one Best Adapted Screenplay. They got a couple of nominations. I did Project might did one for this, but anyway. All right. Films turning 30 this week. I also think this like Thomas Haden Church did stuff beforehand, but I feel like Sideways was really the movie that put him on the map for most people, and so did Project MI. Like Project MI was a stuff before Sideways. I feel like it was Sideways that really put both of them on the map for most folks. All right. Also, now films turning 30 this week. We got the Kevin Smith classic Clerks. Now, this was, of course, Kevin Smith's first ever feature, and it's a great directorial effort, big time. And of course, the whole movie takes place at a convenience store, with days of the lives of store clerks Dante Hicks and Randall Graves, as well as their acquaintances. And this was pretty much like Smith's, view action verse, and of course, it does, feature the likes of Jay and Silent Bob making their debut here. Clerks is an excellent one. Of course, Kevin Smith will go on to direct other great stuff like, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob, and many others. And this is a really terrific one. Really great performances by the cast. It has lots of fun, lots of funny moments in this. If you guys never really seen Clerks by now, do yourself a favor, go watch Clerks. It's an excellent one. And of course, they will go on to do Clerks 2, Clerks 3, like, who doesn't love Clerks, right? All right, also celebrating the 20th, or 30th, I might say, is the Woody Allen film Bullets on Broadway. Now, of course, Bullets on Broadway was referenced in Chucky just recent, where Nia Vardalos told Jennifer Tilly Bullets on Broadway sucked. I'm like, yeah, okay, Nia, come on. Bullets on Broadway is terrific. Of course, Jennifer Tilly actually got an Oscar nomination for that. I believe Diane Weiss actually won her Oscar for this, if I'm not mistaken. Say what you want about Woody Allen's personal life. Yeah, he's a creepazoid. Woody Allen has made some terrific stuff, and Bulls Over Broadway is one of them. Of course, you had like John Cusack, Jennifer Tilly, Rob Reiner, Jack Warden, Harvey Frostein, Jim Broadbent, Edie Falco, a couple of Sopranos actors, Tony Sirico. And if you guys don't know much about the story for this, is where playwright David Shane, struggling in 1920s, having failed to secure financing for his latest work, reluctantly makes a deal with a mob boss, Nick Valentine, played by Joe Vittorelli, a Broadway debut with the chance to direct along as long as Nick's Flibber Gibbet girlfriend, Olive, played by Tilly, plays one of the lead roles. And of course, you have Diane Weiss, who of course won her Oscar for this. Chaz Palminteri plays like Olive's gangster bodyguard. He's excellent. It's a really decent film worth checking out. Definitely one of Woody Allen's best work. Great performances by Jennifer Tilly. Also, whenever you think as a horror fan, whenever you think of Jennifer Tilly, always think of most notably her as Tiffany and Chucky. But she's done some other good stuff too, and Bulls of Broadway was a really good one. All right, dirty. We got the Puppet Master, not to be confused with the other with those other Puppet Master films. This one's a totally different one. This was actually based on a novel that starred the late great Donna Sutherland, along with Keith David and Julie Warner, and it's where a trio of American government agents attempt to covert invasion of Earth by mind controlling alien parasites. Now, this obviously is very different than than those Puppet Master movies that Full Moon did. This is more like tearing to the no. There's literally no puppets in this. But it's really treat. But it's actually not a bad one. Like, I still prefer the Full Moon Puppet Master movies, but this one was okay. Don Sutherland obviously is no stranger for sci-fi because of Vasia by Snatcher. He was pretty good in this one, so not a bad one to check out. Alright, also trending dirty, we got the Warren Beatty film Love Affair. This was actually the last movie that starred famed iconic actress Katharine Hepburn. You also had Warren Beatty, Annette Bening, Gary Shanley, Harold Ramis, some really decent cast members in this. And if you guys don't know much about the story in this, although they are each engaged to other people, former athlete Mike Gambra, played by Warren Beatty, and vocalist Terry McKay, played by Benny, forced for each other on an international flight that gets diverted due to technical problems. And after their trip, they agree to meet in New York City 3 months later. But tragedy strikes the same day of their reunion, resulting in Terry's hospitalization. And of course, Warren Beatty and Annette Bening, who are actually still married by the way, so God bless them. They're both solid in this. They really have great chemistry, which obviously no, of course they're gonna have good chemistry. They're married to each other. Katharine Hepburn, gave a really terrific final performance here. Really decent little film, if you guys haven't seen it. Alright, films celebrating their 40th anniversary. Holy cow, cannot believe this one turned 40. We got the iconic sci-fi film, The Terminator. Really, of course, the movie that put Arnold Schwarzenegger on the map for most people, the film that put James Cameron on the map. Obviously, T2 is still the best, but the original iconic film, Terminator, is just so iconic. Obviously, some of the most iconic lines of I'll be back. You know, uh, Linda Hamilton, of course, was great in this. It's such a really terrific one worth checking out. It's a lot of fun, really entertaining. Arnold this is one of his most iconic roles to date. Of course, James Cameron, who will go on to direct other stuff like Aliens, Avatar, Titanic. This is definitely one of his best ones too. I mean, whether we get more Terminator films in the future, that has to wait and see. But the original Terminator and T2 are obviously the best ones there is. Right, also turning 40, we got Body Double, which is an erotic thriller starring the likes of Watson, Greg Henry, Melanie Griffin, and it's where an actor's obsession with spying on a beautiful woman who lives nearby leads to a series of events of drastic consequences. And this was definitely in the vein of something like Rare Window in a weird way. Of course, this was at a time where there was lots of erotic based thrillers. Obviously they would go on to do Fatal Attractions, Body of Evidence, and this is it's not a good film, but it definitely has some fun aspects to it. Really was crazy throughout. Melanie Griffin, who of course, is actually the mother to Dakota Johnson, believe it or not. She was okay in this, but yeah, there's that. Anyway, now it's also directed by Brian De Palma, so who doesn't love Brian De Palma, right? Also turning 40, we got Paris, Texas, directed by Wim Wenders, who co-wrote the film with Sam Shepard, and it stars the likes of Henry Dean Stanton, Dean Stockwell, Hunter Carson, and with disabled with exclusive on Travis Henderson, played by Shanton, reunites with his brother, played by Stockwell, and his son, Hunter, played by Carson. Travis and Hunter embark on a road trip through the American Southwest to track down Travis's missing wife, Jane, played by Kaczynski. And not a bad little film here. The chemistry between Harry Dean Stanton and Carson is pretty solid. The performances, Wim Wenders has put out some really cool stuff too. A really decent film from the '80s worth giving out. But that's pretty much it there. Let me leave you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is going to go to John Wick. The 20-year one is going to go to The Incredibles. The 30-year one is going to Clerks, and the 40 one is going to The Terminator. Anyway, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Sammy signing out.